Bonjour année neuf, hello year 9 and welcome to the next lesson in our series. We've been looking at les sortir and going out and everything that you need to be able to do that. We're on our final little module now, which is all about l'argent de poche, pocket money. Just looking at ways that we can get that money and what we spend our money on. Now today I would really like us to focus on paying particular attention to every little thing that you see or hear during this video. If you focus really well, you'll find that you will be able to complete every task that you have to do well, because we will have covered everything you need during the duration of the lesson. And that is the key to learning a new language, actually. You're not going to know all of the answers straight away, but there will be at some point things covered that you can use later on. Case in point, the title, l'argent de poche, pocket money. Money is argent. It's also the word for silver. So that's handy, and the coins can be silver, poche then being pocket money. So, where you've got this video, underneath there is a worksheet for you to download, and you can complete all work on there if you would like to. So, first task is here. Alright, so some keywords then, les mots-clés. Here are some things that you are going to need to know. These statements. They are in English in black. On the side there, I've got all of the words, but they're all jumbled up, okay? So, your task is to create these English sentences, but in French. Now then, one of the key ways you can do this is to do the obvious. We know that anything beginning with a capital letter must be at the start of the sentence. We know that je is I. That is a basic. That's one of the first things you ever learn. So there we go. We know that words that look like English are usually the same thing or similar. So an anniversaire is not an anniversary, but it's something else which comes around once a year. There's a clue. You can also start to figure out what new words in French mean by saying them to yourself and thinking, do they sound like an English word? A case in point here might be reçoit. Okay, it's not a complete copy of an English word, but which of these words in English does that sound a little bit like? Reçoit. Think about that. Think about our title, l'argent de poche. What did that mean? Remember, staying focused and paying attention usually leads you to the correct answer. So, on the worksheet, you can add a text box if you like, or you can type it underneath where you see this image. See if you can translate these sentences using these words. Now at this point I recommend that you pause the video, because the next slide you see will be the answers. So the next time you hear from me, you will press play and I'll start giving the answers. Alright, so when I press the button, that green box will disappear and you'll get the answer. So, I receive, you hopefully have written, je reçois. That C has got a little tail underneath. That makes it an S sound. Reçois. Je reçois. I earn. Now we've had the word earn a couple of lessons back. Je gagne. Lovely. My parents give me, hopefully you've got, mes parents me donnent. My parents, me, they give. If you've got this one wrong, you might have put me donnent without the NT, and that's a common error, but don't worry, there is a reason behind it. More on that, possibly in year 10. My mum gives me. Now hopefully you've got a decent memory, and you know that my mum is ma mère, taking you all the way back to year 7. And therefore, ma mère me donne. In a nutshell, people, the main difference here is that this is me donne with an NT because parents are plural. And your mother here is just on her own. I received money for my birthday. Remember all of the things we spoke about, just context, what you already know. You should have put je reçois l'argent, money, pour mon anniversaire. Anniversaire looks like anniversary. An anniversary is something that happens once a year. Anniversaire, birthday. And yes, this is something that was covered in year 7. And finally, I received pocket money. Looking at what we've already done and figured out, je reçois, and what was our title? L'argent de poche. Give yourself a mark out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for that. These statements, these little sentences may well be useful later on. Okay, next task then is this one, and these are some of the things in French here that you might buy with your pocket money. I'm just going to read them out. Please repeat after me for a bit of speaking practice. Des bonbons. This word des here means some. It's always plural. That's one here. Des chocolats. Des chocolats. Des magazines. Des magazines. Des cadeaux. Des cadeaux. Du maquillage. Du maquillage. Du matériel scolaire. Des CD. Des CD. Des DVD. Now that is a mouthful, quite fun to say. Des DVD. 9. Des jeux de console. Des jeux de console. Des baskets. Des baskets. And finally, des vêtements. Vêtements. Alright, so we've listened to the words. We've just learned today that sometimes saying these words to yourself can lead you to the correct translation. As you can probably imagine, these English answers here, they're in the wrong order. Your task, of course, is to match them up as best you can. Think, use your brain, use context. How do these things sound? And you hopefully will find that there might only be 1 or 2 which cause major issues. On the worksheet you can simply draw an arrow if you want to, or you can write, numbers 1 equals and then whatever the letter is. Completely up to you, as long as you get the correct answer. But once again, at this point I recommend you pause the video, because next time you hear me, I'll be giving the answers. So, here we go. Des bonbons, sweets. Bonbons are sweets. Des chocolats, chocolates. Magazines. Des cadeaux, presents. Du maquillage, one that I thought perhaps you might not get, we'll see, makeup. Du matériel scolaire, school materials, so pens, pencils and all that. Why have we included this? Well, because in France, French kids have to buy their own school books and stuff like that. They don't get given to them by the state or the schools. Count yourselves lucky, people. Des CD, CDs. Des DVD, DVDs. Obviously, pronouncing these letters in the French way. Des jeux de console. Computer games. Console games then, literally. I'm hoping that word right here, console, gave the game away. Des baskets, trainers, and des vêtements, clothes. Excellent. Give yourself a mark out of 11 based on however many you got right. Please make sure you've got the correct answers, because of course they are going to be useful later on. Now at this point I'm going to show you a couple of key phrases that I'd just like you to note down, again for use for the next task. They are here. J'achète, I buy. Please make a note of this somewhere, highlight it, put a bubble around it, whatever. J'économise pour, I am saving for. For example, j'économise pour, I don't know, des baskets. I'm saving for trainers. Je n'achète jamais. This is a GCSE phrase. I never buy, and then whatever it is you never buy. So for myself then, je n'achète jamais de maquillage. I never buy makeup. Promise. And finally, je vais acheter, meaning I'm going to buy. Remember, that was future tense, which we covered in previous lessons. There should not be a V there. Please ignore that. So those 4 phrases and everything you see here, numbers 1 to 11 with the correct answers, are going to be extremely useful for the next task. Here we go. All I need you to do here is to translate the following phrases into French. I've given you a little bit of help here with the verb télécharger, meaning to download. If you need any extra help with this, if there's 1 or 2 things on here that you're not sure of, you can either A, use a dictionary, B, use wordreference.com. It's an online dictionary, which is better than Google Translate. Or you can ask one of your teachers in Teams, and they can help you out that way. But go with the dictionary first. And put your answers on the dotted line on the sheet of paper. You'll have to do this by adding a text box, or you could, of course, type it underneath. Why? Because translation is with 3%, roughly, of the French GCSE. See how you do. Now you can make errors and still get full marks, and that's fine. I'll be interested to see what you can come up with. Okay, so the next task then is taken from a foundation style textbook, and foundation's about C grade. You've got 4 people here, Karim, Melanie, Sarah and Frank, and they're talking to you about what they do with their money, really, what they save for, what they never buy, what they always buy, that sort of thing. Now this isn't the main task. The main task is on the next slide, which I'll show you in a second, but before we do that, it's always a good idea to read. Okay? So, Karim says, moi, j'économise mon argent pour un jeu de console. Je n'achète jamais de CD, mais j'achète des baskets de temps en temps. C'est très cher. J'ai toujours besoin d'argent. Now I'm reading these out for you so that you can get used to the words and think to yourself, do some of these sound a bit like English? Particularly for the words that you don't know. Mélanie says, avec mon argent de poche, j'achète des magazines. J'économise aussi pour des baskets. J'aime les baskets, mais elles coûtent trop cher pour mes parents. Sarah, avec mon argent de poche, j'achète du matériel scolaire, des cahiers, des stylos, des classeurs, etc. J'ai toujours besoin de stylos parce que je perds toujours mes affaires. J'adore les films et la musique aussi, donc j'économise pour des DVD et des CD. And finally, Frank, moi, j'achète des jeux de console avec mon argent. Le meilleur jeu, à mon avis, c'est Fortnite. En plus, j'ai besoin d'une nouvelle console, mais elles sont vraiment très chères. Donc, j'économise pour ça. Je n'achète jamais de basket. So we've listened, we've read. First task is this. In each statement, can you please find the following phrases? So in Karim, you're looking for I never buy, from time to time, and I always need money. They go in order. See how you do. The reason for this, because you're looking for certain phrases, it's forcing you to read the text again. Right? Now, the more you read things, the better the understanding becomes. You can type your answers somewhere on the sheet before you then do the main task, which is here. Okay? So, on this grid here, you need to read the 4 statements again and fill in English, the following things. What do Karim, Melanie, Sarah and Frank buy? What do they say that they buy? What do Karim, Melanie, Sarah and Frank save for? And what other details can you identify from those texts? Anything at all. These answers are in English. Okay? So reading the 4 texts again, having read it, having listened to me say them, having done this pre-reading activity, can you fill this in English? What do they buy? What are they saving for? What are the other details? Again, type this up on the worksheet. When it's done, you save it. You upload it to Moodle by clicking Add Submission for either myself or Mrs. Hillier to mark your work for you. Merci beaucoup et au revoir.